5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Mack Talks, everybody. I'm your host, Scott Johnson. This young fella to my right is my co-host, Chase Hutchison.
Hi, guys.
Chase, tell them what the Mack Talks are.
The Mack Talks are that vehicle that brings you the stories that you need to hear from business owners, entrepreneurs, and impactful leaders.
Yes, sir. That's what we do here. And today, I'm excited for the guest that we have on the show. I've always followed his career and had the pleasure of meeting him for the first time at the Better Business Bureau Summit a few months back. This gentleman is not only an entrepreneur, but a visionary. He went into business for himself right out of high school, building his first house at the age of 17. He holds numerous patents and has revolutionized the basement waterproofing industry. Employs over 400 people at his 9-building campus located in Seymour, Connecticut. Larry Janesky. Welcome, Larry.
Thank you, Scott.
How are you today?
Fantastic.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. We really, really appreciate it. Like I said, I've always followed your story. I've always kind of seen you from afar. So when I had the opportunity to meet you, it was great. I got to see you speak at the Better Business Bureau event. We were super excited, and we just really wanted to get you on the show as soon as we could. So thank you.
I'm happy to talk about my favorite subject. It's entrepreneurship.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. Awesome. So tell us a little bit about how your career got started and take us back to how you got involved with business to kind of start.
Well, okay. I mean, I've told the story before, and to me, when you tell your story over and over and over again, I went to a thing called a Landmark Forum one time, and where people work through all their problems they've had in the past, and one of the exercise is you write your whole story down, your whole sordid tale, and all the misfortune and so forth, and then you just read it to someone else, and then at the end you read it again. And then they say, read it again and read it again. And after 6 or 7 times reading your story, it becomes funny. It becomes like, oh, this is not meaningful anymore.
Yeah.
And that was the point of the exercise.
Though. That's right.
Yeah. So anyway, when I was a kid, I think one of the earliest things that happened was I got comic books, a comic book when I was 8 years old. And in the comic book, it said, make money selling Burpee Seeds. Mm-hmm. So I was 8, right? And so I sent away to maybe Minnesota or somewhere to get a box of Burpee Seeds. And I went door to door, knock on the door. Would you like to buy some seeds? And, I sold a lot of seeds. I got around the block. I was out. So I had to send away for more seeds. But the point there is that I learned very early on that you can take opportunity. You don't have to wait for it to come your way, right? You can you can sell things. You can rely on yourself to get ahead. You don't have to rely on the rest of the world. And that was an important lesson for me. And I went on to have a big paper route, and buy out the paper boy next door and the other paper boy, and I was delivering 140 papers, a day, kind of thing. But so. Family had no money. Parents were divorced. Stepfather was an alcoholic. If I wanted a bicycle, I had to buy my own bicycle, that kind of thing. So it was really good that I was an entrepreneur.
Yeah. At a young age, too, you're able to figure that out, which is truly amazing at the age of 8.
And I think these early lessons, we have to be careful with our kids, too. What message are we sending, with these little things in life? What do they learn? What do they take on as their identity? Because you're never going to outperform your own expectations of yourself, your own belief of who you are and what you can do, what you're capable of, what you deserve, what you'll go for or not go for. So these are important things that formulate those expectations and beliefs in someone's life. So anyway, graduated high school. College was not an option. No one in my family ever went to college. It was never even talked about because we had no money. Yeah. And so I went to high school, Bullet Havens in Bridgeport, and was in the carpentry class and figured I was a carpenter, and I wanted to be a carpenter. And put an ad in the paper, carpentry, call Larry, no job too small. Yep. I would show up, And I didn't know how to do anything, but each time I'd say, okay, I'll get right back to you with an estimate. And then I frantically, go down to the lumberyard, ask the guy, well, how do you do this? Or how do you do that?
There was no Google back then, right?
No.
Like there was no.
So, gave people estimates, and often I got the job because I was eager, you know. And even though I was young, they look, you see them like looking at me, weighing, okay, well, how bad can this go?
Yeah, right.
But, so when I was 18, I got a phone call, can you build a house for me? And I said, well, I can build a house for you, but I'm only 18 years old, and if that's a problem, let me know now. So there's this long silence in the phone, right? You can just hear the guy weighing his options. And, there's a book by Malcolm Gladwell talking about people being in the right place at the right time. And so, Bill Gates, for example, had access to one of the very few computers for programming in a university. You had to sign in for half-hour blocks, right, for programming on this computer. Well, he noticed that no students would sign in after like 9 p.m. So he took from 10 p.m. to 6 in the morning.
Wow.
And by the time the world really needed some software to run on this hardware that was being developed, Bill Gates had more programming experience than anybody in the world.
Yep.
So he was in the right place at the right time, right, with the right skill at the right moment in history. So this was 1983. There was a building boom going on.
Yeah.
And all the real carpenters were busy.
Yeah.
So they get down to me, right?
Yeah.
And so I got my shot. And so I built a house, and my brother, who was 14 years old on summer vacation, you can't make this stuff up.
Wow.
And my friend, who was 17, and I was 18, we built this house in 6 weeks, 3,000 square foot contemporary. We framed, roofed, sided, put the windows and doors in, and deck on in 6 weeks. And, we showed up early in the morning, and we didn't quit until it got dark. And then the neighbor on the left side said, well, can you build mine?
Yeah.
And then the neighbor on the right side, can you build mine? And then this developer came by and looked and said, hey, can you build houses for me?
Yeah.
And I wound up learning a lot, making mistakes and everything. And then I started spec building, buying the lots from the developer and going partners with him, me getting the builder's mortgage. And so I learned a lot.
That's
and,
great.
It's really, sometimes in our career we measure our results by what we get, but when we're young especially, we have to measure our results by who we are becoming, right? What are you learning?
Yeah.
What are you learning that's going to be useful later on? And then we reel the clock ahead, and later in our career, we can move from success to significance and ask that question again. Who am I becoming?
Yeah,
Who do I
just
really want to
keep,
become?
Building from there.
Yeah, because you can't take it with you.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
it's nice while you're here, but
Yeah.
you're not going to be here forever, and it's not coming with you. So then you say, well, what good can I do in the world, and who can I really become now that there's only one thing better than a good person. It's a good person with resources.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah.
You can get much more done, obviously, and you can help a lot more. So,
Yeah.
So you were building the spec houses, and then
So the last house I built had a wall crack in the foundation that was leaking, and I couldn't build any more houses because the building bubble burst. And I had to sell that last house 3 times for it to stick. And I said, I can't build any more. It won't sell. Everybody got stuck with all these houses they were building.
What year was this?
1987.
Okay.
So I sort of fell into the basement waterproofing business, trying to figure out how to fix this foundation crack. And I became a dealer for another company out of Illinois who had some mediocre product. I mean, I didn't know, what was good, what was bad, what was anything. So I became one of their biggest dealers in 2.5 years. And they would always have other dealers call me and say, hey, I got some questions for you. And I called the head office in Illinois, and they said, call you, that you're doing some pretty good stuff. You could help me. So I created this dealer support program, and I told them about it. I said, would you support me? Would you give me your blessing if I helped your dealers? You can only gain because they make money when they sell products, right? So if I help their dealers grow, they're going to sell more product. So they said, well, send it to us. So I put this whole binder together, and this is before, you know, computers and the printers that we have. It was like typewriter, you know. Yeah. And I sent it to them, and a couple weeks go by, nothing. I call them. I said, hey, did you get my package? You know, what's going on? Well, we'll get back to you. 2 weeks later, hey, did you get my package? You know, what's going on? No, we'll get back to you. So 2 more weeks later, I called, and I was a little annoyed, and I said, you know, I'm only 23 years old. Or 26, sorry, 26. And I said, you know, it's kind of rude of you guys. You said, you know, send me the whole thing, and I did, and you're not getting back to me. And he whispers in the phone, he says, if you get your resources together, I think you could buy this company. I was like, what?
Wow.
They had 128 dealers throughout the country, and I had no money, you know?
Yep.
And so I went out to Illinois to explore, you know, buying the company somehow. And I had read like Nothing Down by Robert Allen, How to Buy Real Estate with No Money. And I figured, well, maybe I could do it with this company.
Yeah, right.
And I realized, A, I don't want to move to Canton, Illinois. B, I can do it better than these guys can.
Yeah.
So I left, and I developed my own products and started my own dealer network. So I started calling around the country to other basement waterproofing contractors. Hey, would you, you know, I have some pretty cool products that you can get a competitive advantage over your competition. Would you like to take a look? And a lot of them said, who are you? You know, I've been in business for 25 years. You know, what are you going to teach me? I'm not interested. So, but I persisted, and some said, yeah, okay. And I developed a really breakthrough product in 1994, and they just came running. And I've had 30 patents on things.
Wow, that's
since.
awesome. That's great. So it's funny because you had a problem, and you needed to solve it with the crack in the wall, and it kind of pushed you into that industry. And it was great timing because the housing thing was kind of coming to an end. You hit the bubble burst. So I mean, that's.
And during this time, did you have anybody that was guiding you in any way? That maybe like a mentor or a business owner that was maybe helping you along? Yeah.
So I discovered Nightingale Conant audio programs very early, and Earl Nightingale's one of my heroes, and you know, he started the first sort of, really, it's audio books. It seems so simple, so obvious now, but back then it wasn't. And so, you know, I'd buy these cassette tape programs for $49.99 or $59.99. It was a lot of money, but I bought them, and it was Zig Ziglar and Brian Tracy and Dennis Waitley and Wayne Dyer and these guys. And I listened to them constantly. I mean, I never listened to the radio, and still to this day, I don't listen to the radio. On the way over here, I was listening to, you know, audio programs. So
that's great.
After, you know, 35 years of that habit, you know, habits make us, and you know, it's amazing what you can do. You know, when you watch TV or listen to the radio, my philosophy is you get dumber.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Melts your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been trying to do more, you know, listening to motivational speakers, you know, Tony Robbins, Gary Vaynerchuk, while I work out and stuff, just because, you know, to absorb that information, you know, in your free time is huge, because then it subconsciously, you know, programs you to a certain extent, you know what I mean? So yeah.
Well, that's literally what it is. I mean, when you think about, okay, a TV station has a program director. So they're going to decide what is in the program for hundreds of thousands or millions of people to watch.
Yep.
That's a powerful position, because what goes in, that's what people are pondering, thinking about. That's their, you know, becomes their identity over time. And you got to be the program director of you. You got to decide what you tune into. You can't leave that to somebody else. You want to live on purpose, or you want to, you know, conforming to the low level of what is normal in the world, you know, is what most people do.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's actually quite easy to get ahead. You just got to have different habits than everyone else has.
Yeah.
Because most people have the same habits, right? They listen to the same thing, watch the same things roughly. And if
the older you get, the longer you stay in those habits, the harder it is.
Yeah.
You know, right? I mean,
it's never too late to change, but yes.
Same way that you form the good pattern, you know, forming the bad patterns, the same thing. You stay in it, so you have to make change. You have to try to push yourself, and you have to put yourself. That's what you hear all these motivational speakers say, and then I've heard you say it as well. You have to take yourself out of your comfort zone, because that's where you'll succeed when you push yourself in other things. And it's not just business; it's in life, right? I mean, you push yourself, and then when you're in business, you can actually deal with things much easier. So, and I know that's what successful people preach. You know, so I think that's amazing. So you're able to patent a lot of these products, and you came up with that original product. That was your first product that you patented in '94?
No, that was probably the third patent I had back then. So, you swing the bat. Sometimes you hit the ball, sometimes you strike out. But you keep swinging, and if you wake up in the morning, you got another chance,
Yeah.
So you go out there and go for it. Ideas are powerful. It's all about ideas. How are we going to operate? How are we going to treat other people? How are we going to speak? Who are we going to be? And just a few key ideas will change your whole life. You don't need, 10,000 ideas.
Yeah.
You need a couple, and you got to pick a direction and go and be the best version of you, and win in that the environment that you choose to go into.
Yeah.
Some people are interested in making money, and being in the business world. Other people are interested in things that don't necessarily make money, but they become incredible masters at, whatever it is that they choose. And I think we're all made differently, and you got to follow what you're really interested in. If you have a desire for something, it means you have a talent for it, and it's possible for you. If you have no desire for something, it's not possible for you.
Yep.
And so, there's lots of things that I'm not interested in, but I really appreciate, people who are incredible, dancers, musicians, scientists, computer programmers, whatever it is. You got to expose yourself to ideas and then gravitate to the ones that, are striking your soul.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, I have one other question for you. When you do start to change your habits, I imagine you're 23, 26 years old, right? A lot of the people that are the same age as you, that maybe you grew up with, don't have the same ideals as you, don't want to work hard, don't have that same vision. And I imagine that it can get kind of lonely if there's nobody else there to share it with. So my question is, how important was it for you when you were going through those changes and you had that vision to have people surrounding you that shared that? Did you have people surrounding you that shared the vision, or was it really just you? And then,
well, you can put yourself around people, and when you listen to an audio program, you're literally listening to someone who's a high performer, and you'll probably never meet this person, right? But they're giving you their life's wisdom for in 1999,
Yeah, right.
I mean, you can save 50 years of experience by listening to this person, and then you listen to another one, you establish patterns, and you recognize what's true for you and what's applicable for you. Yeah, so when I was a carpenter, I had these audio programs, and when my friends would get in the truck, I would stuff them under the seat because they would say, "Oh, you're listening to that motivational crap again," whatever, But so look, we all have 24 hours in a day, right? So let's say you sleep 8, you're going to work, a certain amount of hours. You're going to be brushing your teeth, taking a shower, getting dressed, eating, doing all the basics, right? And everybody has to do those things. It's those times in the margins, right, when you have a habit that everyone else is squandering, those times in the margins. And that's where you can become, basically get ahead, okay? Yeah. And not that your goal is to, compete against other people and say, look, I'm better than you. That's not it. And that's important too. It's like, why are you doing this? So I do it so I can be the best version of me. Mm-hmm. Right, and hopefully that can inspire other people, and I could pass it on. I could teach other people what I've learned to have $150 million business, 400 employees, and thing runs without me there. It's running right now. I'm sitting here. They don't even know where I am. I don't get phone calls. It's awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And that's all because of you. And that's the message that you've, and the infrastructure that you have kind of set up. To kind of go with what Chase was saying, one of the things that I've noticed about you is you have a lot of people that have worked for you for a long period of time.
Right.
I was watching kind of like a documentary about your story a couple nights ago. And there's a few people in it that have been with you, at a very young age, and it's amazing to see that. And it kind of speaks to you and the type of, employer and person and motivator that you are. Because those guys probably weren't in the same boat as you were when you were younger. But they were with you and they were kind of grinding with you. And it's awesome to see that you guys kind of, to a certain extent, made it, work together and made it happen all together, and I'm sure that you're not somebody that just takes credit, just yourself. I mean, your team, has definitely done some amazing things, and obviously that's you coaching your team and motivating your team. So, I thought that was really, really cool, that.
Yeah, when I was a kid, so I was an underdog in a lot of things, Little League, I batted 67.
Yeah.
And I didn't quit,
Yep.
I kept coming back, and, as embarrassing as it was. So I don't quit. But, you have to allow other people to succeed in your organization.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not something that, came naturally to me. That's a learned skill for me in particular. But you've got to allow other people to lead. Ralph Nader said, I start with the premise that the purpose of leadership is not to create more followers, but it's to create more leaders. Mm. And so that's what you have to do. If I want to sit here and not get any phone calls, I better have a lot of leaders back there.
Yeah.
That are taking care of stuff, that are empowered to make decisions, that know, that have a vision, mission, and values, so they know what decisions to make when they come along, and have process and the resources that they need to be really successful. And they basically, at the end of the day, you want your people on your team leaving work feeling good about themselves.
Yeah.
If they leave work feeling like crap about themselves or about the place that they work, they're not going to be there long.
Yep.
Right?
It's going to show in their work, and yeah, yep.
Yeah, they got to feel better about themselves than when they walked in.
Mm-hmm.
If they go home to repair their ego and their, their self-esteem, and then come back the next day to be abused again, they're not going to be there long. And you're always going to start with new people, and you can't get any traction that way.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. So that kind of takes us to, your campus that you have in Seymour. Which is amazing. I saw how your growth was so fast, and you built the company so fast that it seemed like you were relocating to a new building every couple of years.
Yeah.
And then you finally, purchased a gigantic building in Seymour, and then you've kind of built some other buildings around that. I think it's the most recent building. Is it the 8th or the 9th building?
Right now we're building building 10.
Okay.
But yeah, so we do have a lot of buildings. I think if we were in the Midwest and I was in a flat spot, I would have less buildings. But Connecticut is so dang hilly, you gotta build a lot of different buildings because it's 90 feet vertical elevation change from the main floor of building 2 to the main floor of building 1.
Oh, wow.
For example, so it's just really
that would be a lot of excavation.
Yeah. So for the listeners, just to kind of, I know I'm not sure how much time we have, but
we got time.
So I then developed dealer networks for crawl space retrofits, so fixing nasty dirt, moldy crawl spaces, and I created an industry. I created that industry, and now it's a very big industry. And in the beginning, it was what we were doing was against building code, but today the building codes have changed.
Oh, wow!
Right. So anyway, we have dealer networks in basement finishing. Started a company with a dealership model for structural repair of foundations, and home energy conservation, insulation, and air sealing, basically. And we have an internet marketing agency for our dealers. We have a finance company, so our dealers can offer financing to the homeowner.
Wow.
And we have our newest endeavor is our School of Entrepreneurship. So we teach other business owners, particularly contractors, but we have other business owners as well, how to be the leaders that they need to be to attract what it is that they want. And it was a live program. It's online now at thesoe.com. And that is, I spend over half my time on that right now. I've been writing the curriculum for nearly 3 years now. We're just about done with the curriculum. So it's like a university
That's great.
education on how to be a successful home improvement, home repair contractor. And we're trying to take that to the masses. Is what we're trying to do.
No, that's great. I love that idea. I mean, it's definitely a need for it. I don't. It's funny. I want to take the class. I'm not a contractor.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot there.
Yeah. No, that's great. So yeah. I mean, you've overcome a lot of things. I mean, you found a lot of niches, kind of. It seems like, especially with the with the waterproofing. How many contractors were builders that probably went out of business because of that recession, and the housing market kind of boom, kind of bubble kind of burst, and you were able to find this little niche and revolutionize the basement industry. So I mean, congratulations. I think that's really, really awesome. I love the idea with the school, and one of the things that you always say that I really, really like is the 7 qualities of a winner. That's one of the things I've always liked that I hear you say. So if you could kind of run through for our guest, in your mind, what the 7 qualities.
Okay. I'm not sure I can recall the actual list that you're referring to.
Okay.
But are we talking about in business or as a leader? Or
as a leader.
As a leader.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to make this up. I'm going to generate it because I can't recall the actual list that you're referring to. I would say the first thing is you have to understand that your external results come from your internal from what's going on the inside. So I say, from the inner comes the outer, right? From the invisible comes the visible, right? From the unseen, the seen. And so the second thing I would say is that you have to take total responsibility for everything that's going on around you. So if you blame other entities, the government, the taxes, the people, you can't get any good people to work for you, your family, your poor childhood, what happened to you, whatever. You blame anything you want. What you're doing when you blame is you put you put the power for your progress outside of yourself, and you're powerless, right? I mean, hey, they're in control, not me. The reality is they don't think of you very much at all. They're just thinking about themselves. You need to think about you. You need to take full responsibility, because if you look at it honestly, your misfortune, you probably had a hand in it if you were an adult. If you're a kid, you're not responsible for your childhood, but you are responsible for your adulthood. So you got to take full responsibility. And the moment you take full responsibility, you assume power over what happens next. So next is you have to learn all you can. When you're exposed to a lot of different things, you can find out, what do I really want? Who do I really want to be? When I was a kid, we lived in a multifamily house, and I went to my friend's house, and he had a single family house, and that was really impressive to me. Now, okay, it was an 800 square foot cape, okay, but it didn't matter. It was a single family house. Yeah. I mean, I was like, wow. And he had shag carpet.
Whoa. Nice, yeah.
I was like, man, I want to live like this. This is nice,
Yep.
And so by being exposed to a lot of different things, so whether it be other people, places in the world, and information, knowledge, education, you can determine where you really belong, right? I believe that we're all created differently with different talents for a reason. So some of us are, good at being caregivers, for example. We want to, take care of others,
people,
right?
Yeah.
Some of us are hunters. We'll go out there and fight the dragon, and and bring it home. Some of us are farmers, some of us are creative, some of us are artistic, and so you have to find why you were put here and follow that. Mm-hmm. And there's lots of paths within that, but if we're spend our life chasing some artificial notion of, who we should be, like because our parents told us we should be a doctor or we should go to college and whatever,
Yep.
Then, we're going to probably struggle with that over time. So then you got to set a goal. And I think some people don't set goals because they're saying, well, what if it's not good enough? What if there's some better thing that I should be doing? Well, you can figure that out along the way. For now, set a goal. Where are you going right now? Who do you want to be? What do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish right now? And you want to go at that with all you've got, right? So be very clear about that. And we have goal setting exercises and visioneering exercises in our school, but you have to sort of see it before it happens.
Yeah.
If you can see it before it comes true, you can make it come true a lot faster. If you can't see it, you may never be able to get there because where are you going? I just want to do better. A lot of people say, I want to do better. Well, what does that mean exactly?
Yeah.
How much better? In what area of your life? Let's quantify it,
And even if you come up, 80% of your goal without setting that goal, what are you working towards?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then obviously when you get there, you can reassess, your goals at that point and set other benchmarks, right?
People say, well, what should I be doing with my time or what habits should I have? Well, that depends on what your goals are,
mm-hmm.
right? If you don't know what your goals are, I can't tell you what you should be doing.
Yeah.
Right?
So that's kind of where it all starts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you could change your mind along the way, and that's how it is. Even when we accomplish goals, it's like, okay, we got to the top of this mountain, but we realized it's only a little hill because we could see the next mountaintop from there.
Yeah.
Right? And then we spend 5 years getting there. Okay, I accomplished that. Oh, I see another mountaintop, right? And that's how it is. But, for now, you got to pick a direction and go at it with all you've got, right? Don't second guess yourself. And then as you get new information, you can adjust, right?
Yep.
Adjust. And then you've got to create a plan. You got to create a plan. So in business, you want to be the leader in a niche, but you don't want the niche to be so small that you can't accomplish your personal goals,
mm-hmm.
right? So you don't have to, compete with, Microsoft or General Motors, but you want to pick a niche that is big enough for you to accomplish your goals. If the niche is too small, then you can master it, and you're not accomplishing your personal goals. Then you've got to find a business that has some margin. Okay, this is really important. There needs to be a margin. Buy low, sell high.
Yep.
So if you're buying something, if you're entering a business where the competitors have a tiny margin and they're barely making money, you better bring some innovation to the table.
Yeah.
So a lot of times it's just combining ideas, executing. Can you communicate better? What are you going to do better to beat them? I mean, they've been doing that for decades, and you're going to come along and you think you're just going to beat them. They know their business here,
Yeah. Yep.
So you better have some new ideas. So learning from others who are doing what you want to do now, even if it's maybe a different industry, is very valuable.
Yeah.
You'll never live long enough to learn it all yourself. That's Brian Tracy, who was a friend of mine. I did an audio program with him, and he tells a story about Kip Kopmeyer. He went to Kip Kopmeyer seminars, and Kip Kopmeyer had, 190 secrets of success or something. And so Brian Tracy, being a impatient young man, went up to him at the break and said, "Mr. Kopmeyer, of all these secrets of success, what is the number one secret of success?"
Yeah.
And Mr. Kopmeyer said, "Young man, you have to learn from other people. You'll never live long enough to learn it all yourself."
Yeah.
And I definitely believe that is true. You know?
Yeah.
So you got to continually learn. And when your goals change, now you got a whole new set of things you have to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. One of the other things that that you do is you push yourself, and a lot of entrepreneurs do that. You get out of your comfort zone, and you push yourself to do things that are extremely difficult, and not even within inside of business. So what I'm speaking about is how you ride the Baja 1000, correct?
Yeah.
And how many years have you done that now?
This is the 4th year. Just
Yeah. So the Baja 1000 is a race through the desert.
yeah.
Which is you stay on the bike the whole entire time, correct?
Well, this is the longest nonstop cross-country race in the world.
Wow.
It's 1,000 miles, more or less. Some years it's a little bit more, some years a little bit less. And it starts in Ensenada, Mexico, in the Baja Peninsula. That's 2 hours south of San Diego. And there's many different classes of vehicles. There's race trucks and buggies of all kinds, and motorcycles. And so I'm an avid motocross rider, and we went on a recreational tour down there in January 2015. And the guide said, "Hey, we're on the Baja 1000 course right now." And I'm like, "Well, what's the Baja 1000?" And he told us about the race, and we're like, "Wow!" And my son decided, he was 19 years old at the time. He decided that we should do it. I was like, oh boy. So, and
I shouldn't have brought him out here with me.
Yeah, I've been riding with my son since he was 5. But
have you always had a background with bikes and stuff?
I started riding when I was 32.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's kind of crazy. Yeah, because you're from like Bridgeport,
Right.
like kind of the city, so
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
like not many dirt bikes, you know. So
my brother got me, my younger brother got me, he started riding, and I thought he was nuts, and he'd, be in the hospital with a collapsed lung and a tube coming out of his chest, and I was like, why don't you quit that? He's like, no way. I'm like, well, I don't get it,
yeah, right.
But when I got on a bike, I crashed in about 45 seconds, and the rest,
you wanted
was
to
history,
you wanted to figure it out. Yeah, you wanted to figure it out.
Exactly.
You're not
I
going
don't
to quit.
I don't
you don't quit. Yep,
exactly.
that's it. Yeah,
that's a big
awesome.
lesson right there.
Yeah.
Don't quit. Now, sometimes you should quit because you're in the wrong gig, and I say don't quit, but there is a time to quit.
Yeah.
Quit. Because you can spend your time finding another path that is a lot less resistance, right?
Yep.
Instead of just beating your head against the wall, beating your head against the wall, beating your head against the wall. But nevertheless, don't quit. Once you find your endeavor, it's going to be hard. If it was easy, everyone would do it.
Yeah.
So,
well, what they say, the idea, like everybody has ideas. It's the people that can execute it are the ones that truly get ahead.
That's
you know
right.
what I mean? So,
right. And you're going to execute, and you're going to fail, and like I did in the Baja race. But so the first year, my son and I entered the race as a 2-man team in the sportsman class. It's a mixed age class, and we were against teams of 5 and 6 riders, so they could ride for 2 or 3 hours and give the bike to somebody else.
Wow.
And then ride for 2 or 3 hours, give the bike to somebody else. Well, my son and I, we had devised a plan. We would take 6 turns each. I would start, give the bike to him. After 80 miles, he would go, 70 miles, give the bike to me, and we go back and forth to the end. Well, you've got to watch the movie. It's on YouTube.
Yep.
It's called Into the Dust, and it's a 90-minute theater quality, full-length movie about that race.
and that's on your YouTube channel, correct?
That is, you just punch in Into the Dust.
Okay.
Yeah, and it'll come right up.
Yeah.
And there's a trailer for it too. A movie
Oh, it's
trailer.
great. Yeah, it's great. That's
Yeah. So the first year, it was quite dramatic. It was dramatic. Good thing we brought our video guys out.
Yeah.
And we made this movie, and so should I tell them the punchline?
Yeah,
or?
go ahead,
All right.
tell them.
So we won the race in 25 and a half hours by 60 seconds.
wow.
So my son says, hey, we should do the Ironman class next year. And Ironman is you do it all yourself. There's no teammates. You're on the bike the whole time. And, you're talking about 30 hours or more on the bike, depending on how long the race is. And so he wanted to do it. And, and I said, well, I lost my teammate. And what am I going to do? Am I going to ride in the truck? No, I'm not riding in the truck.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to be in this race. But I was, at the same time, this is going to, It's going to end badly. It always ends badly in Ironman class because even if you finish, which less than half finish.
Oh wow!
Even finish, because you're physically exhausted, or you crash, or the bike breaks or something. But even if you finish, you're in dramatic pain.
Yeah.
And suffering. Being on the bike for that many hours continuously.
It's not like, I finished. It's more like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you're just exhausted. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first year, my son actually finished 855 miles, 28 hours-ish. And I got hurt at mile 200. I got whiplash. And I didn't know if my neck was broken or what, but I gutted it out to mile 600, and I couldn't go not 1 mile more. So that was our first attempt in 2016. So I don't quit. So we had to go back in 2017. So in 2017, they announced the course 1,134 miles. Oh,
sheesh. Couldn't be 930, right? They had to go over 100.
Was that the longest one?
That was the second longest ever.
Wow.
So my son got to mile 607 and he tapped out, and he was having some issues. He's allergic to peanuts, and 30 hours before the race, we're eating fajitas. He puts hot sauce on his fajitas.
Oh.
In Mexico, it had peanuts in it.
Oh.
And so he just ate a few drops, but we were in the hospital, and 30 hours before the race. So and then he didn't get any sleep before the race, and he wanted to win this thing, so he was pushing early. And he was in the lead for 200 miles in our class, and but at 6:07 he couldn't go on anymore. So,
well, it sounds like you passed the no quit down to your son, because he seems like he's got the same.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. And then so I got to mile 831, and I had trouble. I actually missed a gas pit. I ran out of gas, and I was waiting for 7 hours. So that was last year. This year, I had to go back again. And Tanner said, been there, done that, got the T-shirt.
Yeah, right.
You're on your own, Dad. Yeah. So I went back, and I said, man, I got to finish this. And I can't die like this. I can't be telling myself the story forever that I couldn't finish the Baja 1000 Ironman.
Yeah.
And only my son became the 13th human being to ever finish.
Wow.
Okay, that's it. So not many enter, and
you weren't going to have his name on that
Yeah.
Well, not yours, right?
I had to finish. So, you know, I worked out, I CrossFit, you know, with him. I ran, I bicycled, I trained, I got myself in great shape, as I did the years before. But we had a great plan, and I said, I'm going to race all 4 races of the Desert Racing Series to prepare myself for the last race, was the Baja 1000. And I did well. I finished every race. Only 2 of us in Ironman finished every race. And so I went into the Baja 1000 in 2nd place in the points for the season, which was unexpected.
Yeah. And
so that was great. And we had a great plan. We had a great team, and we executed our plans, you know, calmly and with all this chaos going around us. I mean, people die in this race.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's all kinds of, I mean, it's
So how long were
dangerous.
you on the bike for on this one?
I was on the bike for 33 hours and 45 minutes, and I finished.
Yeah.
And I finished, and
Awesome.
I became the oldest finisher of the Baja 1000 Ironman. I finished every mile of the season. I finished in 2nd place in the points, and there was 10 starters, 5 finishers this year.
Wow, that's
You
amazing.
gonna go back?
Well, next year we're going to do a team, my brother and my son and myself.
That's great.
Yeah.
That is awesome. So do you take breaks how many, obviously you have to stop and get gas, you have to get off the bike for a little bit, but I mean, for the most part, like, what's the longest break that you're taking? When
Well, there's a time limit in these races. So it was a 36-hour time limit. If you don't finish in the time limit, you do not finish.
Yeah,
okay?
So
you could take all the breaks you want, but you need to finish in this time.
Yeah.
Right.
So the longest break I took was about 45 minutes. One time I got in the van to get warm. I was almost frozen.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 40 degrees at night.
And it's probably
you got
hot
full
during the
wind,
day.
and it's 100 during the day. So, but the average break, I would say, is about 8 minutes, and I see my truck. I saw my truck 16 times in the race. The way you lay it out, you got to plan your own race. You got to figure out where you're going to meet your chase truck. Where you're going to,
Yeah, they're not just following you through the.
Well, the course crosses paved roads.
Okay,
here and
so
there.
that's where you have to stop.
Anywhere from 30 miles since you saw them last to 100 miles, and last year's race was 180 miles before you'd see your truck again. Three different times, 180 miles.
Yeah.
So it's a long way. But yeah, so it's a lot of logistics and planning. But when you do things that are difficult, like I race in Spartan races, love them. Yeah.
Yep.
And when you do things that are difficult, it just makes the rest of life easy, right?
It's true.
You can't get upset about the small stuff or see it as a big wall in your mind. And so I would encourage people to get out of their comfort zone. And physically, when you have the energy to get through your day, I mean, leadership requires energy.
Yep.
If you're shot by 3 o'clock, okay, you can't get as much enthusiasm and vibrancy, and you get a little grouchy. You run out of energy for people.
Yep.
So keeping yourself physically fit, I think, is really important. And I've got to give credit to my son. If I didn't have a son, I'd be 25 pounds heavier right now. There's no way I'd be racing no Baja, nothing.
Yeah, right. That's great. That's great. Yeah. Now, is he involved in your business endeavors, or?
He is now. Yeah. He started his own business. He was a salesperson for us for a while. Now he works in R&D. Really bright kid, and another example of how you don't have to go to college to, be an entrepreneur or get a great job or even be in the sciences. I mean, I think there's going to be a radical change in higher education in this country. I mean, kids come out of there and they don't have all the skills they need in many cases, okay, or they don't even know what they want to do with their life. They got a degree in something that they never even use, and now they're $150,000 in debt, and so by the time they're age 35, they might be out of it, So you can learn with the internet, and everything that's available these days. You can learn a tremendous amount of things.
Yeah, and I mean, just like anything, when you get out of college, you're not like ready to go. No, you're starting from the bottom. The same, it's trial and error. You know what I mean? So, and that's kind of how you built. Your career, trial and error, and figuring it out and toughing it out, and
When you learn on your own, you learn things that are relevant that you want to learn. When you learn in college, you learn some what you thought you were signed up for, and a lot of stuff that they think they want to teach you. Right? Yep. So you're wasting a lot of time here. Yep. So I really believe in self-education.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Right, but I mean, here's the thing, though. I mean, I went to college, and I think the biggest advantage is that you get exposed to ideas. In my college, in particular, we had a creed or a motto called Cura Personalis. It's Latin for care for the whole person or development of the whole person. And so they make you take these classes that maybe in the beginning you're like, oh, I don't want to take, whatever it is, astronomy or or even some people, they don't want to take English class. They don't want to learn how to read and write better because they're just not interested. But what I found was that it exposed me to ideas that I never would have come across before. And some of those ideas I really did like and enjoy. And some of them I put forth in my life today. But I also think you could get that from other sources too. I think, like you said, your own personal development is important. You have to learn how to educate yourself, not other people, bombarding you with information like that. But no, I agree with you. I think that whole system is not set up correctly, and it's going to one day fold into something new, which we're seeing now. I mean, the internet is
the internet's what's going to make that possible.
The next push. Yeah. It opens up new pathways in the brain. I think when you try something new and you get exposed to something new, it opens up new pathways in the brain, and it also makes you appreciate things that you've never encountered before. So whether it's a culture, it's a set of ideas or thoughts, but you have to then wrestle with those, whether you like it or not. Your grades depend on it. You got to graduate. So it also forces you to look at things that you don't want to learn. Like a lot of the times we don't want to do these things. We don't want to learn these things, but in college you have to in order to move forward. So
yeah, and it's different for everybody. I'm if you haven't noticed, a bit of a rebel, right? I don't want to conform to anyone else's plan.
Yeah,
and I think the whole institution of institutions and even governments, they want to expand their influence, right? They want to, and we all do, right? We all do. But there's ways that a person, if they didn't have the means or the time or the patience or to go to college, could learn. Now, you're not going to get be a doctor in the home study course, okay? You got to go to college for certain things, right?
Yep, that's always what I say, too.
But if you want to be an entrepreneur, you don't need it, in my view.
No, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. All right, well, we're pretty much out of time, but I really, really appreciate you coming in, sharing your story. It's super educational for me, for Chase as well, and obviously for our listeners. We have a whopping 7 subscribers on YouTube, so all 7
nice.
of them. But we're just getting going, so we are just getting going. There is no quit in this podcast.
We're never giving up.
That's right.
That's
Keep
what
going.
we're gonna do. So I really, really, really appreciate you coming by. I'm excited to put this podcast out and share your story with everybody. So Larry,
Excellent.
thank you.
All right, Scott. Have a good day.
Thanks for coming in.
All right, thanks, Chase.
All right.